Hi, y'all. I hope that y'all can hear me. I'm going to try to make this quick, but it is March, and March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. March is almost over, and I've been telling myself the whole time that I am going to make a video sharing my story, because I don't think what I went through was in vain. I think that God saved me in order to share what I've been through to hopefully help someone else. And I know that colon cancer isn't it's not the cancer that's most talked about. It's actually getting on up there, but a lot of people associate women getting cancer with breast cancer, right? You see that all the time. They have these big breast cancer walks and all of that. But I can tell you that colon cancer has been on the rise, and more people have been affected by it. And it's also very taboo. No one wants to talk about poop and diarrhea and constipation and blood in your stool. However, talking about those things could very well save your life. So I wanted to talk to y'all about my story. I was diagnosed with colon cancer back in March of 2022, ironically, because that is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, right? But to backtrack, because people always ask, probably the number one question people ask me is, did you have symptoms? Were there symptoms? Yes, I had symptoms. Now, that's not to say that you can still have colon cancer, unfortunately, and not have symptoms, or have very few symptoms, or symptoms that seem very normal, like constipation, diarrhea. That's a normal thing for most people. However, we should be having regular, steady bowel movements. But anyway, I had blood in my stool. I probably had blood in my stool probably for a few years before I was diagnosed. And I know that's like years, yeah, but I always wrote it off as being something else. It wasn't steady blood, it would be blood sometimes and it would stop, that type of thing. And then I always just assumed I had hemorrhoids because I had 4 kids, right? I gave birth to 3 of them. One of them was a C-section. So I always just assumed you just got bad hemorrhoids, girl. And I remember, it's so funny. I don't think I ever really shared this, but I went on a crazy diet in September of 2021. It was a diet that was going around YouTube where people were drinking coffee and putting lemon in it. So I did that, and I remember my stomach just being so upset and me having these bowel movements. And I remember the bowel movements looked really funny. They were really, really dark and they were skinny. And so I just assumed that was because of what I had did, and I stopped drinking it, right? And then I remember getting sick like right after that. And I thought it was the vid, but it wasn't. They said I just was sick for whatever reason. And I think back now that was the cancer, right? Like, that was warning signs that I did not heed. So anyway, in March of 2022, me and my kids, we frequent this barbecue place, and it's actually owned by a friend of mine, and he makes this spicy boudin. And we had got some of the spicy boudin. It was so good, y'all. But when I tell you, almost immediately after I ate that, I started having this pain on my left side, and it would not go away. And I thought that it was gas. I was just like, oh no. And I was doing everything in my power to get rid of that gas, y'all. I was doing enemas, suppositories, whatever I could do, because your girl had quit her job back in September of 2021 to start her business. So I did not have insurance, and yeah, I couldn't afford to get sick. So thinking that it was just gas, I had a big order because I was running a business. I had a big catering order. I had like 4 big charcuterie platters that I had to complete for someone's 40th birthday. They had already paid for them, so I couldn't really back out. Even though I was not feeling it at all. So my kids, they actually had to help me like put the boards together. They helped me deliver the boards, and it was actually for a friend of my ex at the time, the guy I was dating at the time. And we were supposed to actually go to the party, but I was like, I can't go to the party. I can't. And so he was like, okay. And he was like, if you're feeling this bad, you need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be okay. It's just gas, whatever. The next day, that Sunday, I still wasn't feeling better. And he was like, look, you need to go to the emergency room, And I was like, well, I don't have any insurance. And he was like, listen, I don't know, but you need to go to the emergency room. So I ended up going to an urgent care because I didn't want to go to a hospital. And I went to this urgent care and I walked in and I was in a lot of pain. I was very, very pale, which I just thought I was pale because, your girl be pale. And I just was like, really sick. And the lady seen me and I said, look, I have this pain. It won't go away. I said, I don't have any insurance. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. And she was like, look, if you are not well, she said, we'll let the doctor check you out, or the nurse, whoever was on duty, because sometimes they don't have doctors there. We'll let them check you out and we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. So I was like, okay. So I go in, they look at me, and they had a CT machine, which I guess they have those now, but at the time, to me, that wasn't really common, that you go somewhere and they put you on the machine, right? Excuse me out. So they put me on the CT machine and they saw something in my colon. They saw a mass on my left side where I was having the pain. So I'm thinking, I thought I had I can't never say it, but diverticulitis. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't. But, I just thought maybe I was just having some gastro issues. So the lady, she was like, we see a mass in your colon. And she said, we don't know what that is. So then they started taking my blood. Well, come to find out, I ain't had no blood in my body. I was running off of very little blood because the mass in my colon was basically sucking all of the blood out of me. Like, it was literally sucking the life out of me. And sorry, y'all, people passing by. But it was literally sucking the life out of me. The nurse or assistant, whoever it was, she just kept asking me. She said, are you tired? Are you tired? And I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. But I was like, I'm a single mother of 4. Of course I'm tired. I'm running a business. I'm stressed, all of those things. And I had forgot. I didn't think about it at the time, but I had previously developed a habit of eating ice, and I needed the ice. I craved the ice. I had to have ice at all time. And I'm talking about, the little ice from Sonic or from Chick-fil-A. I ate that ice like it was nobody's business. Well, come to find out, I was eating the ice because I was anemic, because I didn't have any blood, any iron. So she was like, listen, you're gonna need a blood transfusion. She was like, you have this mass in your colon. We don't know what it is, but we think it may be cancer. So at that point, I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I called my best friend. Y'all know my best friend, Sheena. She is a nurse. She was on that side of town. So God be working, okay? She was on that side of town. So Sheena came up there and, basically she talked to the nurse and she was like, listen, she's like, Bestie, you're gonna have to go to the hospital. They're going to take you to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital and you need to find out what's going on. She said, because yes, they're saying that you might have cancer. We're not believing that, but you need to go to the hospital. So they took me by ambulance to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for, I think about 10 days. It was almost 2 weeks. I remember because that week, my kids were going on spring break, toward the next week when I got out. So I went through a whole bunch of tests. I had a colonoscopy. I had a biopsy. I had all kind of scans. I had a PET scan. I had a CT scan. Every test, they took all kind of blood. They gave me a blood transfusion. I had everything under the sun. They screened me for everything, right? And they concluded that I had a mass in my descending colon cancer. And they also saw a possible nodule about 1 centimeter in my lung. So they concluded that I had cancer, stage 3, possibly stage 4, meaning that the cancer had metastasized, which is just a fancy word for spread, to my lung. something was going on where they didn't want to do another biopsy on the cancer that was in my lung. So they were like, we're just going to wait a little bit to see. We're going to wait till you go to your regular oncologist and have them do a biopsy or whatever. I forget what happened. Before they could conclude my, they stage you basically. Before they could stage me, they said that. So, yeah, I was pretty devastated. Did I think I was gonna die? Possibly. Because you hear stage 4 cancer. You hear cancer and you immediately think a death sentence. And then you hear stage 4 cancer and then colon cancer. And, again, that's not a cancer that's talked about a lot. And so I was just like, I knew about all these strides they make in breast cancer. I knew breast cancer survivors, but I didn't know anyone that had colon cancer, which is why I'm sharing my story now. So I ended up getting on Medicaid because I did not have any insurance. I had to refund a lot of people because I had orders that I needed to do. I had to refund people for those orders. That's why if you're in business, don't spend the money until you deliver the product, okay, or the service. Let that be a business tip for someone, okay? Because I had to send all of that money back to people and let them know I was sick. I wasn't going to be able to do anything. And everybody was understanding, of course, but I had to give people their money back, right? Anyway, I ended up going to a hospital, getting on with an oncologist and surgeons. And after reviewing my case, they decided that instead of immediately going to surgery, because a lot of times with colon cancer, they will have you go to surgery first to try to remove the mass if they can, and then they will give you chemo. They decided that they wanted to give me chemo first to see if they could shrink the mass and then try to remove it via surgery if it was viable. So I remember going in, they were going to put me on this chemo, and when I looked up the chemo, it said something about palliative care. And basically what palliative care is, we don't know if we can cure you, pretty much, so we're basically going to keep you comfortable until the inevitable happens. And I was like, wow, like these people don't think I got a chance. Like, Lord, like, what am I supposed to do? And I remember, Sally Beauty powder. Okay. I remember a doctor saying, you know what, this is not what we're going to do. This is not the treatment we're going to give you. And they ended up putting me on another, basically, cocktail of chemo. So if you know anything about cancer or cancer treatments, if you've had a loved one have cancer, basically each chemo is different. It's different medicine for different types of cancer. So the cocktail that I was on basically was, I would go to the infusion center, that's what they called it, on a Wednesday. I would get hooked up and the chemo would basically be going through my body for about 4 or 5 hours, give or take. And then I had to take a bag home. I'll see if I have a picture or a video with me with the bag, but I basically had to take a bag home with me that was attached to me. So I had a port right here, and basically what a port is so they don't have to keep sticking your veins. They put something right here. It's like a squishy thing. That's the only way I can explain it. It's kind of like this keloid, kind of squishy, and basically that's where they stick you to give you your infusions, because you're always going to be stuck. Like, just get ready to be stuck, the most that you've ever been stuck in your life. So basically I had to take home a bag full of chemo medicine. And it was so funny because the bag would say hazardous material, and I'm like, dang, y'all putting this in my body. But it is what it is. You have to do what you have to do. So, and that's what I felt that I had to do. And that's no shade to anyone that goes the natural route. Hey, I understand. I wouldn't wish chemo or cancer on my worst enemy, because it's no joke. And I'm happy to be here. I'm blessed to be here. But I can understand why people don't want to go through that. But for me, chemo was the choice for me. And I think the choices are personal, and it's up to everyone to do what is best for themselves. So let me just say that. But I ended up taking the bag home, and I would take the bag home again on a Wednesday, and then on Friday I had to go back up to the infusion center, and they would unhook me from the bag, unhook the bag for me, basically. And so for 2 days, from Wednesday until Friday, I was basically down for the count. Nauseous. Some of the side effects were I couldn't drink anything cold, and if you live in Houston, Texas, that is not a good thing, because if I drank anything cold, it felt like it did not burn you, but it felt like it burns your throat, your tongue, your mouth. I couldn't touch anything cold because it felt like it burnt my hands. I was very, very, very fatigued. I was very, very nauseous. I threw up probably the first 1 or 2 treatments, but after that I would just be nauseous. And then they would give me medicine to help the nausea, but that knocked you out. So I would just be lethargic for like from Wednesday till Friday. Wednesday I usually could drive myself to the infusion center, but on Fridays somebody had to take me because it was just no way. I think I tried to drive myself one time, and I knew then I wasn't going to be able to do this. Like, I barely made it home. So on Fridays, I would get someone to take me, whoever was available. So even my son, I remember my son had just got his license. Like, he had just really learned how to drive. And I was like, you know what? The good Lord, he goes before us. He really does. Like, he really knows what you're going to need when you need it. Because I always say, had this happened when my children were younger, I don't know how I would have made it. My kids were old enough to be able to do things for themselves. My daughter was 21 or 22 at the time. My son was 19, so they were able to help with my younger kids. Like, God really, really worked everything out. My daughter was able to take me to some appointments and like my biopsy and all of that. So I ended up going through the first chemo treatment. I had my first chemo treatment May 2nd, 2022. I'll never forget. And then that Thursday, that was on a Wednesday, that next day on a Thursday, I had to go have a biopsy because they had to confirm if this was cancer and what type of cancer it is. Because even though they pretty much assumed it was cancerous because they could tell from certain tests, they have to confirm if it's the cancer that spread or if you have a whole nother cancer. So they were able to confirm that it was the colon cancer that had spread to my lung. And even though this may not sound right, I am so grateful and blessed that cancer only spread to my lung. I told my mama that today. We were talking, we went to lunch today, and she was looking at me and she was like, you would never tell what you have been through. And I was like, really? You couldn't tell when I was going through it? Thank God. But I told her, I said, because I don't know how we got on there, but we were talking about the liver, and I said, thank God I was blessed enough that it did not spread to my liver. Because everyone that I know, almost, not everyone, but almost, that it spread to their liver, they did not make it. Because once your liver is gone, you need your liver to filter out all the bad stuff in your body that goes through your body. Once your liver is gone, but it spread to my lung. And I think that's why they gave me a chance. Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I've seen people in the infusion centers. I've seen people. And I said I wasn't gonna cry. Anyway, I've seen people going through cancer. And I couldn't honestly tell you because I've been there. They don't give everybody a chance. And I don't know if that's because they just know or it's just the way that it is. I couldn't tell you, but everybody didn't get the chance that I got. I had favor. God favored me. And for that, I'm immensely grateful. I'm abundantly blessed to be able to be here. He favored me with the medical staff. He put good people in my path. My surgeon, my my oncologist, the oncology department, the infusion center. I remember going in, and the chemo, it caused me to have high blood pressure. Like, I already had, like, I was on the brink of hypertension, but the chemo just, your body is going through a lot. And so one of the side effects with me was high blood pressure. And I remember, I was just ready to start my chemo, and the nurse, she would not start it. She was like, we got to get this blood pressure down. She was like, I don't care what nobody say, because the doctor was like, go ahead. She was like, I don't care. She was like, you got to be well enough to be able to take this on in your body. And I remember she made sure she got my blood pressure down before she gave me that treatment. And she checked on me. She checked on me. And she checked on me. And I'm forever grateful for all of the medical staff. Like, that is not an easy job. I would not wish that on anyone. That is not an easy job. And you really have to have a heart of compassion. You really have to be God's child, right? You really have to display love, because people are going through a hard time. And sometimes when people are hurt, they hurt people, especially people that they don't know, right? Like, they're mean, like, they're like, why are you like that? Like, but if you go through something like that, you have empathy. You have empathy for those people. So anyway, people are fighting battles. I have a YouTube channel, of course, but I also share a devotional Monday through Friday. And we were talking this morning about friendships, and how people get offended about, well, especially women in friendships. And I was telling them how my husband, he really made me see another perspective about women's friendships, and how, catty we can be sometime. And I'm not saying that for other women, I'm speaking for myself, because I've been there. And he was like, y'all be worried about who texted first and who called first, and she ain't text and she ain't check on me and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, men we don't be worried about that. And he's like, man, y'all need to get over that. And I really had to think about it. And I said to them, and I'm gonna say it to y'all, do y'all know how much stuff people be going through that you don't even know about? And you be worried about somebody calling you back, and they out here just trying to survive, especially in the climate we live in right now. The administration we under right now, they just trying to survive. Like, girl, you ain't gotta call me back. I'm okay. I'll be all right. Like, we really have to stop taking things personal, because people are going and fighting their own battles, and we really have to show empathy and compassion and walk in love like God has asked us to. But anyway, back to the story. Those were some of the side effects that I had went through. The coldness, the lethargic. I was lethargic. The exhaustion, fatigue, that was really bad. The nausea was really bad. And then eventually, as the chemo wore on my body, I experienced neuropathy, which is basically like the feeling in my fingers and in my feet. It basically felt like, how your feet feel when they fall asleep, or your hands feel when they fall asleep. Basically, that's the way that my fingers felt most of the time, in my feet. My fingers are a lot better. I would say they're probably like 95% better. Sometimes I have problems gripping things and stuff like that. But my feet, they're about 70% better. I'm very wary when I wear heels. Sometimes I fall. Sometimes, people say, oh, you're clumsy. It's not, I'm clumsy. My feet don't feel like your feet. Like, they don't feel like, you know how your feet feel when they fall asleep. Sometimes my feet feel like that. So that is an ongoing effect. They said that it should wear off maybe eventually, but it hasn't yet. And I haven't been on chemo for 2 years. So we shall see, but I'm here, so I'm willing to deal with it. I ain't got no choice. But anyway, yeah, so those were some of the side effects of chemo. So I did that for May all the way until my last chemo treatment was the end of October. They did determine that my mass in my colon had shrunk, and I would be a good candidate for surgery. So in November, they had me scheduled for my first surgery, which is what they call a colon resection. So basically what they were going to do is remove the mass from my colon and then resect it back together. I did not have to have a colostomy bag or any of those type of things. It was a possibility, but the good Lord, again, he favored me, and I did not have to have that. The surgery was a success. They were able to remove it. And basically, after you have a surgery like that with cancer, they take a culture of, the cells of your lymph nodes around that area, because that's a part of diagnosing you and staging you, like if the lymph nodes have cancer as well. And excuse my nails, y'all, I gotta repaint them. But yeah, so they took a test of all of that, and out of the test, I think they tested like 100 or something like that, some very large number, and only one came back with cancer. And so that tells them that the cancer is gone. I guess you just have one, I don't know. But anyway, I ended up that surgery ended up being successful. I did not have that surgery in November because I did end up catching the vid, and I had to wait until January. But I'm glad that I was able to wait, because some things happened and I needed to be there for those things. So again, God goes before us, and he's looking out at all times. So I ended up having the colon resection on January 11th, I believe. Yeah, January 11th, which is actually my husband's birthday. So I ended up having the colon resection, and it was a success. They gave my body about 6 weeks to heal, and then they scheduled my surgery to have the cancer removed from my lung in March. March 13th, I had a wedge. I think they call it a wedge resection. Basically, the cancer, so like my lung is here and the cancer is like right on the edge. So they felt that it would be a successful surgery. It would be easy to get it from there because it wasn't within my lung per se. So that was the worst surgery I ever had. I don't wish that surgery, anything with your lung and you can't breathe and you have to have a chest tube. They pulled the chest tube out of my back because it's like right here. If I wear like a sports bra or something, you can see the scar or whatever. They pulled that out of my back, and I thought I was gonna die. That was a lot of pain. And then on top of that, you can't breathe. You have to do breathing exercises to learn how to get your breath back. And I still don't have my breath back. If you ever hear me try to do ASMR on any type of platform, including here, you will hear me breathing heavy, right? Because your girl had a piece of her lung removed, okay? So bear with me, okay? Don't be talking about me. It is what it is. But anyway, I was able to make it through the surgery. There was a bit of recovery, extensive recovery with that one. But on April 3rd, I had my scan results and I was declared cancer-free. They call it no evidence of disease, you're in remission, all of those words, but I say I'm cancer-free. And I have been cancer-free it'll be 2 years on April 3rd of this year. And I am, again, abundantly blessed and immensely grateful for the favor that God has bestowed upon me and my life and my children's life. And life has just been good. Y'all know I got married. My daughter had a baby. I'm a grandma. I was able to stop working outside of the home to pursue my passions and just to rest and not have to be stressed out, because my husband understands that a lot of stress can cause cancer. And he wants me here. And my daughter got married. My kids are thriving. They're growing up. Like, I have 3 bonus kids. One that's grown, but 2 that I see every weekend. Like, life is really, really good, and I am really, really blessed. And that is why even though sometimes I don't like talking about the cancer, and then sometimes I feel like I talk about it too much. Listen, it is what it is. It's a part of my life. It'll always be a part of my life. And I think it's a part that I do need to share so people are aware of what could happen to them. I don't want y'all to have this happen to y'all. if you have blood in your stool, if you are having issues with your stomach, if you are extremely fatigued, if you are losing weight and you are not trying to lose weight. That was another one. I had lost like 10 pounds, but again, y'all know I thought I did that diet, so I really didn't think anything of it. If you start losing weight, all of those things, if you feel like something is wrong, please go to the doctor. Please don't wait until it's too late, because I know people that have waited and it's too late. It's nothing that they can do. They can try to keep you comfortable, but they can't save your life. And that's not to say that God isn't a healer, that he can't save you, but he also gives us senses. He also gives us a brain. And if you know that something is wrong, go get checked out. Go get checked out. And if those people tell you that nothing's wrong and you feel like something is wrong, go get a second opinion and a third opinion and whatever, how many opinions you need until you get answers that cause you to be able to sleep at night, right? You know, just don't take no for an answer when it's concerning your health. Don't let doctors or nurses or people tell you how you feel about your body. If you feel like you need some help, if you feel like something is wrong, please, please, please get however many opinions that you need to get until you can get answers that are satisfactory to you. So, yeah, those were basically my symptoms. If you are having problems, please go get them checked out. Another question that I get all the time is, you know, what did you do to, you know, how did you beat cancer, basically? And I can honestly say, like, we know it was God. I know that for sure. I know that God put me in that urgent care for me to find out that very day that I was sick. And he was trying to warn me, but I wouldn't listen. And so he had to let that pain come on my life. But it was to save me. It was to save my life. And I know that for sure. But rest. I had to get a lot of rest. I had to, if the house wasn't burning down, baby, I was in my bed. I was asleep. I was, you know, getting the rest that I needed. Your body needs rest to heal. And so I will tell you right now, if you are out here trying to hustle, if you out here trying to make things happen, if you think you got to be the one to make things shake, I can tell you right now, you don't have to be, okay? You need that rest, because if you don't sit down, God will sit you down. If you don't surrender, he'll make you surrender, okay? And so rather than him having to make you, go ahead and do it now. Get the rest that you need, whether you're sick or not. If you are sick, please get the rest that you need. I guarantee you, everything that needs to be done, it can wait. Like I said, if the house ain't on fire, it can wait. But also, before you get to that point, get the rest that you need. Mamas, single mothers, mothers that don't have no husbands, please delegate. Please find out what systems you need to put in place in order for you to be able to survive and thrive and do that, okay? You know, we put a lot on ourselves when we don't have to. We got DoorDash, we got grocery deliveries. There's all kind of things that we can employ to make things work for us. And yes, maybe we might have to give up getting our nails done or something like that to pay for it, but baby, in the end, it's worth it. I tell you, it's worth it. So I would say to rest. Rest helped me out a lot, and rest can help you out now. I don't stress about things. When you've been through what I've been through, you see the world very differently. You understand that things are not as big of a deal as you think that they are. And that's not to discount what you're going through, but just know that, you know, it could always be worse. And definitely, like I said before, have compassion and empathy for everyone, because people are fighting battles that you know nothing of. Again, my mom, She said, you don't look like what you've been through. And I can honestly tell you, if you maybe looking at me now, looking at me then, you could see a difference. But back then, you probably couldn't tell that I was sick, okay? You probably thought that the bag that I was carrying full of chemo was just a fanny pack. You know what I'm saying? You would not have known just by looking at me that I was sick, that I was going through this, that I was fighting for my life, right? And so I'm pretty sure, I could probably guarantee that there are people out there going through things like that right now that we know nothing of. So just show compassion, show kindness, show gentleness. Those are all things that God has called us to be, especially as women, especially as feminine women. We should not be hard. We should be a soft place for people to land. And that doesn't mean that people beat you up or treat you as a whipping boy or anything like that. However, you should be a soft place for people to land, for the people that you love, right? You should bring that warmth. You should bring that peace. You should bring that kindness. You should bring that gentleness. You should bring that wisdom. Those are the things that we're called to do. So please, if you are going through this life, and I'm not saying that you ain't having a hard time, because we all go through things, just understand the person next to you could be having a harder time. And that's all I'm saying. So anyway, that is my story. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them. I do not give medical advice. I am not a doctor. So if you ask me something like that, I'm going to say go see a doctor. I'm going to just tell you all that right now. Go see a doctor. But, you know, if you have a comment or a question or anything you want to say, just let me know below. Again, because I have to stress this, I want to thank all of the doctors, all of the medical staff, all of the nurses, the ones that help me and the ones that are helping other people. Without y'all, I would not be here. So I'm grateful to God for y'all. I know he placed good people in my life that have kept me here, and I'm grateful for y'all. So anyway, that's my story. Please go get checked out. Sorry, y'all. Share this with someone who may need it, someone who may be having issues, or someone that just needs an encouraging word. Hopefully I encourage someone. Hopefully I push someone to go get their health checked out. Go get your colonoscopy. It is happening younger and younger in us. When I was diagnosed, I was only 43. I don't think they start giving you your colonoscopies until like 45. So, and now I think you can get them at 40. Okay, so listen, go get your colonoscopy. Go get your colon checked. If you are in your 40s, you need to get it done, okay? Because I can tell you that is how you can save your life, right? If they can catch it early, it's much, much better for you. It's much, much better for you. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I hope y'all subscribe, share, like, comment. I love y'all, because that's what God has called us to do. It doesn't matter what you did. I still love y'all. So I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.